Hey everybody, my name is Matthew Behe. I'm here to tell you a little bit about the difference between an EMT and a paramedic. First, I'd like to start off by saying that I am both an EMT and a paramedic, but I work under the sole title of a paramedic. I'll give you the reasons why later on. A lot of people might wonder what's really the difference between them. They don't really understand. They kind of think they're one and the same. Well, in a way, they are kind of the same as far as what their long term treatment are. They both want the best patient care for the patients. They both want what's best for the patients. So I'll give you a couple of differences between the two throughout my speech today. One of them will start off by talking about the education differences. Then we'll talk about the scope of practice difference between the ALS and BLS, which I'll explain what those mean later on. As well as we'll get to discuss about the weight carried by both of them on their shoulders. I'll start off by talking about education. Education is very important, whether you're talking about just the differences between the two or whether you're talking about what's going through their mind on each call. They both kind of have a script that they follow throughout each scenario, and both of their scripts are going to be pretty much the same thing. They're just going to be a slightly different as far as the procedures they're going to administer. An EMT starts off by having to take a 40-hour EMR, which is an emergency medical responder class, and then they can proceed to the EMT course. EMT meaning emergency medical technician. The EMT course is 1 semester long, and upon completion, you should have all the knowledge ready to sit and take a state or national testing. The paramedic, on the other hand, needs to do that as well as already be certified EMT, and then take an anatomy and physiology class as a prerequisite. They don't require you to take medical terminology, but I recommend it. And then you take the paramedic course, which itself is 3 to 4 semesters, depending. And upon completion of all that, you should be having the knowledge ready to sit for a state or national test. The difference between the two as far as the scope of practice really means the procedures and actions that you can do with under the license that you're working under. The EMTs and paramedics technically are not licensed themselves, they are certified. They work under the license of a doctor that overlooks the department or the county. We typically call him the medical director or the medical control. The EMTs cannot work as a paramedic, but a paramedic can work as an EMT. Meaning because paramedics have to go through EMT school and not vice versa. The EMT would be working outside of his scope of practice. The difference between an EMT and a paramedic is more, as far as skills go, the EMTs do the basic stuff such as provide oxygen for the patient, they can do CPR, they can do spinal and fracture immobilizations, they do bleeding and wound control, even possible auto extrication. The difference with a paramedic, they do all of that as well as do IV insertions, they do EKG interpretations, they do advanced airway management, and they can administer certain medications. The career path of an EMT or a paramedic can be very stressful at times and can carry a lot of weight on their shoulders, both physically and mentally. I say physically because going on scene to a call of some unknown medical problem at someone's house, we carry several bags from our fire truck or ambulance onto the scene, which weighs so much because we have all of our medical supplies with us. The mental weight, it's because if we go to a mass casualty incident where there's a lot of patients, we need to figure out what to do with who first, and that's called triage. The difference between them, the paramedic and EMT at this point is 9 out of 10 times the responsibility is going to fall back on the paramedic on everything going right as far as the scene control, crowd control, the medical responders control, and it's just a lot of pressure and a lot of stress. Overall, that's the main difference between the EMT isn't just a pay raise, which is about 10% depending on the department, and a new patch to wear, but it's the amount of education received, it's the amount of skills you can apply, and it's the amount of weight that's carried on your shoulders to do the job that's needed. Overall, I think it's a hard job to do, but it's a very rewarding and very fulfilling job. I definitely recommend becoming an EMT or paramedic to anyone that's thinking about it. And here's my note card.